All right, ladies and gentlemen, the title of this video explains itself. We're going to take a look at a video that was put out a couple days ago on the Nancy Guthrie case. And who knew she was an agent? Who knew all that? Nobody knew. We don't know if this is true, but let's check this video out. This is about the case of Nancy Guthrie and $328 billion in fraud. And let's post this good gentleman's channel in my chat. And description. And away we go. All right, let's listen to see what this guy's got to say, his opinion.
We are witnessing a moment in American history where the scale of corporate criminality has reached a tipping point, and nowhere is this more evident and more dangerous than in the case of Nancy Guthrie. To a casual observer, this is a missing persons case from a quiet street in Columbus, Ohio. But to those of us who have spent decades in the halls of the Department of Justice, this looks like something far more sinister. It looks like a strategic, targeted removal of a federal witness in the middle of a $32 billion national security crisis. Let's be precise. We aren't just talking about money. We are talking about the rule of law. We are talking about the fundamental promise that if you see a crime and you report it to the authorities, the system will protect you. If that promise is broken, the entire justice system collapses. Nancy Guthrie was 84 years old, an age where most are enjoying retirement. But Nancy was a pharmaceutical compliance officer at MedSource Logistics. This wasn't a mom and pop shop. It was a $470 million revenue engine in the Midwest. Nancy's job was to be the internal police. She checked the billing codes. She made sure the medicine reached the hospice centers and nursing homes. In March 2025, Nancy's forensic analysis triggered an internal red flag. She noticed that.
This is mind-blowing. Who knew the little 84-year-old missing woman that lived in Ohio would have stumbled across all this and end up in Arizona? Unreal. $32 billion or whatever.
3 specific nursing facilities in Southern Ohio were ordering narcotics, oxycodone and fentanyl, at levels that defied logic. In the world of federal prosecution, we look for deviations from the norm. This wasn't just a deviation, it was an explosion. Nancy did exactly what the law requires. She took her findings to her supervisor. And this, for any prosecutor, is the point of origin for the conspiracy. When her supervisor dismissed these as clerical errors and ordered her to process the payments, the company crossed the line from negligence to criminal intent. They had been put on notice that fraud was occurring, and they chose to accelerate it. By June 2025, Nancy's shadow investigation revealed a network of 17 facilities across Ohio, Indiana, and Kentucky. The scheme was sophisticated. It used mirror billing. invoices that matched purchase orders, delivery confirmations with forged signatures, and electronic health records that looked perfect on the surface. But Nancy found the physical gaps. She noticed delivery trucks arriving at 3 a.m. She found signatures for doctors who had been dead or retired for months. She was documenting a $2 million fraud in her immediate circle. But as we now know, she was just scratching the surface of a $32 billion national epidemic. To understand why someone would want to silence an 84-year-old woman, you have to understand the incentive structure. During the COVID-19 pandemic, the federal government, in a rush to save lives, loosened the verification requirements for Medicare and Medicaid. The motto was speed over paperwork. But as any prosecutor will tell you, when you remove the locks from the vault, the thieves don't leave just because the emergency is over. By 2026, those temporary, relaxed rules became a permanent gateway for organized crime. The Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services reported that in the 2025 fiscal year, improper payments reached 80.
Excuse me. Did he say they opened the door to organized crime? Well, this is right up there. It's a racket. So, yeah, maybe. Poor little lady.
$6 billion. Let's break down that $32 billion in intentional. That is more than the yearly budget of the FBI, the DEA, and the ATF combined. It is a sum of money so large it has its own, quote, gravity. It buys politicians, it buys silence, and apparently in Columbus, Ohio, it buys a professional disappearance. Medicare's Hospital Insurance Trust Fund is set to run out by 2031. We are only 5 years away from a total system failure.
Well, hell, you ain't got to wait till 2031. They're already doing botched operations, contaminating people, and trying to cover it up, right? Some of us, they're saying we're lucky we're alive right now. Right? I would say this was a genocide, if anything. A genocide in Kentucky, Indiana, Ohio, and other areas. A genocide, I would say.
Who needs a hip replacement, or a child who needs life-saving medication. This is the human victimology that white-collar criminals want us to forget. The forensic timeline of February 10th. Now let's perform a digital autopsy of the night Nancy vanished. This is where the case moves from financial fraud to a criminal enterprise investigation. On February 10th at 11:18 p.m., Nancy's cell phone pings a tower near her home for the last time. At 11:38 p.m., she receives a text message from a disposable burner phone. This phone was activated 3 hours prior and deactivated immediately after. This is tradecraft. This is not the behavior of a random kidnapper. It is the behavior of someone who understands how to evade federal digital forensics. At 11:47 p.m., the surveillance camera catches the figure. Look at the movement. It's low profile. They avoid the direct light. At 11:49 p.m., Nancy is on her laptop, uploading her final evidence to the DOJ's secure portal. Think about the bravery of that moment. She knows she is being watched, but she is hitting send on the truth. At 11:51 p.m.,
Sir, if I may ask you this question, was her life, was she the one that sent message that she was being abused by her handlers or her own kind? Is my question, sir, because how could this little lady be sending messages of classified evidence as this is happening? This is pretty wild. Let's get back to it.
Exactly 2 minutes later, her Wi-Fi connection is severed. In my years at the DOJ, I've seen thousands of coincidences, but a Wi-Fi death signal 2 minutes after a grand jury witness uploads a smoking gun document, that is an act of interference. When investigators entered her home, they found the hard drive missing. The drawer was pried open. No struggle, no other theft. This was a surgical extraction. The corporate flight, signs of guilt. Let's look at the consciousness of guilt. On February 7th,
Well, I kind of understand what this guy is saying. Excuse me, I'm eating some tacos or whatever they are. What did we see being removed from that house? Now, these people are claiming Nancy lived in Ohio, not Arizona. Another thing, what was removed from Nancy Guthries' house in Arizona? Tons and tons of paperwork. You've seen it yourself. JLR had it on his channel. Other people had it. They let people in to the house, and then people came out with tons of paperwork. There might be something to it.
Just 3 days before Nancy disappeared, MedSource Logistics listed its $31 million headquarters for sale. On February 5th, 2 board members resigned. In a RICO, racketeer influenced and corrupt organizations investigation, we call this winding down the enterprise. They are liquidating assets to move them to offshore accounts in the Cayman Islands. Accounts Nancy had already identified in her spreadsheets. They are scrubbing the deck before the federal search warrants are executed. The grand jury in the Southern District of Ohio has now pivoted. They aren't just looking at healthcare fraud. They are looking at 18 U.S. Code, Section 1512, witness tampering. If Nancy was...
Here's the crazy thing. We don't know if this is true, folks. Just because somebody puts it out there and puts documentation out there don't mean it's the real thing. We don't know if maybe this little 84-year-old woman was doing a racket herself. We don't know. There's a lot of stuff coming out on the family now that, people are like, what? How could this be? The Samantha's or Savannah's husband was in the Epstein file. Well, this makes sense. It was probably a racket, and maybe they went to Jeffrey with it. Look, we got this racket going. $32 billion. You want in on it? The island? Maybe. They might have been scratching each other's backs. Who knows?
Was removed to prevent her testimony, the sentencing guidelines for the executives at MedSource Logistics just jumped from 5 years to life in prison. But here is the prosecutorial reality check. Without Nancy, the case is in jeopardy. Defense attorneys will use the confrontation clause of the Sixth Amendment. They will argue they have a right to cross-examine the accuser. They will try to throw out the shadow files she kept. This is why witnesses in these cases are so vulnerable, because the system's own rules can be used to reward the very people who silence them. Why is this happening? Because the risk-reward calculation is broken. In 2024, the government only recovered $4.2 billion out of $86 billion lost. That is a 5% recovery rate. If you are a criminal, those are great odds. You have a 95% chance of keeping your stolen billions. Congressional committees.
All right, what's this racket? Let us say. You have a 5% chance of losing the 32 billion that you stole. Yeah, what racket is this? Boy, are we suckers of obeyed by the law, Johnny. Johnny, be good. Johnny, do this. Bleepity bleepius. What is this racket where they're sucking in this kind of money? Right? And we don't even know if this bullshit is real. Who was scamming who, really? All this bullshit. Now everybody's saying, they're in the files. Who the F ain't?
Have held 17 hearings. They talk about AI monitoring and real-time verification, but talk is cheap. They've increased funding by only $300 million, a drop in the bucket. The lobbying groups for healthcare providers fight every new regulation, calling it burdensome. But you know what is burdensome? Being an 84-year-old woman who has to act as a one-person FBI because the federal systems are too slow to catch a $32 billion theft.
They were too slow to catch the theft in my chat, and they did on me, but we're on to them, We know these are broads, women, gangs or whatever that these broads are affiliated with or whatever. Prison. We also have connected some of these broads in chat and whatever to prisons. So yeah, it's going to happen that way in America, folks. A lot of people are pissed, but this has gone on far enough, and I think the president knows that the American law-abiding citizens that we are, unmarked, unmarked by the devil or whatever, we want justice. And there's only one way to get justice out of these pricks, like Uncle Ted was saying, we don't know your kind around here. I understand, but we got to get our money out of these people.
The logical conclusion and the verdict. So what is the definitive news? Based on the forensic evidence, the person of interest in the video is almost certainly a professional contractor hired to secure the missing hard drive. The text message at 10:38 p.m. was likely a distraction or a lure. The disappearance of Nancy Guthrie is a direct result of her cooperation with the DOJ's criminal division. My analysis as a...
Can I ask you, sir, if I may, why the DOJ or any FBI or anybody that knew about this would be letting, or even their family, be letting this little lady live alone at 84 years old in the middle of the desert with no security team around her? If I may ask anybody out there that question, morons.
former prosecutor, is this: the DOJ is currently facing a critical integrity failure. If they cannot find Nancy, or if they cannot prosecute MedSource without her, it will mark the end of effective healthcare oversight in the United States. It will signal to every criminal enterprise that witnesses are fair game. We must.
I don't know about you, sir, but I've been fair game in this country for 50 some years. So, you know what? I don't know who to believe. Who was the scammer? Who was the scammees? Was all this created? Oh, she got kidnapped or whatever. They were, was it all because these people and their family, poor little lady Miss Guthrie and her family, supposedly involved in Epstein or whatever? Who knows? But I can tell you this much: it's pretty crazy. And that's just it. They're using old people to get away with murders and crimes. And we must hold these old people responsible for these crimes and their family members that have committed them. And we're going through the same thing here in this little town, folks, of LaGrange, Indiana, where, boy, they were killing people for a while. The whole doctor's office was contaminated, from what I heard. So, and they were also injecting people in with stuff and everything. It's pretty crazy, if you ask me. But I don't run this country, and I'm just an idiot. So let's continue with this monstrosity of $32 billion being ripped off, and who knows what else it's opened up to organized crime and everything.
Demand more than tips and hotlines. We must demand the takedown of the shell companies in Nevada and Delaware that Nancy mapped out. We must follow the $8 million that flowed through Meridian Health Solutions. The truth isn't just out there. It was in Nancy's hands on February 10th. She did her part. She gave us the map. Now the question is, does the Department of Justice have the spine to follow it to the end? We are in February 2026. The clock is ticking on Medicare, and it is ticking on Nancy Guthrie. The system is on trial. And so far, the evidence of its failure is overwhelming. We will not look away. We will continue to track the DOJ Office of Inspector General. We will continue to highlight the names of the executives who resigned, because in a democracy, the only thing more dangerous than a $32 billion fraud is the silence that follows it. Nancy Guthrie didn't remain silent. Neither should we.
Join Grand Circle Cruise Line.
Well, sir, the only thing I can say to you, being that I do know crime, right, is what money? I have no idea what you're talking about. What mafia organized crime? I have no idea, sir. I plead the fifth. I had no idea what you're talking about. Of course, if you know crime, that's how they handle it. Right? I have no what money. But here's the thing. Who is Miss Nancy Guthrie? This secret agent, this little 84-year-old woman that had all this information, but no security team and no weapons, no nothing, and left all alone in a little tiny mansion in the middle of the desert alone. Can someone tell me, explain to me, anybody, And also, if you're in crime, you know if they ain't got no body, they got no case. Right now, if this is organized crime and they did this or whatever, and they're laughing at you folks, you'll never find her. Like a Hoffa thing. You got no body, you got nobody to witness or question or anything. And, how stupid is it? Pretty stupid. Well, can you believe this? Brian Etten is in New Mexico.
Today, I'm continuing, obviously, to cover the 3 disappearance. I'm in Nancy's neighborhood right now, but I spent the day in Mexico, which is not far. I mean, it takes like an hour to get there from Nancy's house. It's like 60 miles away, Nogales. You can cross. It's so easy to get into Mexico. They don't ask you anything, what you're going to see. I'm going to take you along for the journey. And there's been a lot of questions about whether Nancy could be in Mexico. We confirmed through FBI sources that the FBI has been in contact with Mexican authorities about the case. Mexican law enforcement has now responded, and I'm going to get into that in a minute. But they say that there's no evidence that Nancy's in Mexico. But I mean, you just can't, write it off. I mean, again, Mexico is so close. You just go south and you're there. So I wanted to go across the border. I was surprised by what I saw, and I wanted to take you guys along for the journey. And then I'll get into other updates in the case in this episode of Brian Enton Investigates. All right, so we're on our way to Mexico from Tucson, which is a really very simple drive on Highway 19. There's a checkpoint along the highway when you are leaving Mexico. And I actually went through it the other day when I went down to Rio Rico, when there was that that false alarm. We think it was a false alarm when the guy Carlos, when they searched his house and detained him. So when you're coming back, there's a checkpoint where CBP stops you, and they have dogs, and they sometimes ask you questions. But when you're going to Mexico on Highway 19, it's very, very simple. It's a straight shot. It's like an hour from Tucson. So we're getting close now to Nogales, which is the border town right on the border where you can actually cross in. This is, you guys know Mo. Say hi, Mo.
Hello, hello.
Daniel.
We're getting ready.
Yeah, we're getting ready. And
Let's go back to Mel here because he looks suspect for something. Let's see what's going. Brian's like, Mel? No, I have no idea who Mel is. I have no idea who you are. So, like I said, this is crazy, right?
It's just because I'm from Florida, but not a ton. So they're going to be here to help me out, and we'll see what happens. Along the highway when you are leaving Mexico, and I actually went through it the other day when I went down to Rio Rico, when there was that that false alarm. We think it was a false alarm when the guy Carlos, when they searched his house and detained him. So when you're coming back, there's a checkpoint where CBP stops you, and they have dogs, and they sometimes ask you questions. But when you're going to Mexico on Highway 19, it's very, very simple. It's a straight shot. It's like an hour from Tucson. So we're getting close now to Nogales, which is the border town right on the border where you can actually cross in. This is, you guys know Mo. Say hi, Mo.
Well, I'll be dipped in horse shit. Look at them eyebrows. Look at them eyes. And look at them lips. Straight lips. One of my mods, Debbie Fox, the great Debbie Fox, who can't be here right now because she's ill. Mentally. But, well, I'll be dipped in crap. Let's check it. Who is this guy? Who is Mel? I'll be dipped. It looks like he's got himself a soul patch. He's got them eyes and everything. Is it crazy that these folks could be doing stuff where the reporters themselves are so deep in it that they become suspects? I'm not sure, but let's continue on. I have no idea who Mel is. I never met him in my life. I have no idea who Brian Etten is. We just watch him on YouTube and these people. And this guy might be Maya's guy. We'll have to check it out. We're not sure.
Hello, hello.
Daniel.
Getting ready.
Yeah, we're getting ready. And luckily, they both speak good Spanish. And Daniel's actually Mexican. And I speak a little bit of Spanish just because I'm from Florida, but not a ton. So they're going to be here to help me out, and we'll see what happens.
Tell me why.
To ask you questions, but when you're going to Mexico on Highway 19, it's very, very simple. It's a straight shot. It's like an hour from Tucson. So we're getting close now to Nogales, which is the border town right on the border where you can actually cross in. This is, you guys know Mo. Say hi, Mo. How's it going?
Hello, hello.
Daniel.
Getting ready.
Yeah, we're getting ready. And luckily, they both speak good Spanish. And Daniel's actually Mexican. And I speak a little bit of Spanish just because I'm from Florida, but not a ton. So they're going to be here to help me out, and we'll see what happens. So basically, we just park and walk.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. So
passport and a sticker.
I'm a little nervous because I do not have my passport. I did not bring my passport on this trip, which I'm not sure. I'm hearing conflicting things, but I'm going to try because you guys know me. I'm always sort of just optimistic.
Come back. That one says contact. This one doesn't.
So basically, we park here and then we walk in.
All the way. Go all the way, all the way. Keep on going, keep on going. Go, 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 go,
All right, déjame sacar.
¿Ha escuchado usted el caso de la señora Nancy Guthrie que la secuestraron o está perdida en Tucson?
This is the picture here.
Ella es la señora, ella es la conductora y es su mamá. ¿No ha escuchado nada?
No. Has he ever heard of it?
No,
Never heard of it?
nunca he escuchado nada.
No.
Las autoridades americanas están hablando con las autoridades mexicanas. I'm asking is about the case specifically, if they know something about Nancy's disappearance, but also the way that I'm involving them is like asking what they think about the U.S. government asking help to the Mexican
And what did he
government.
say?
He said that he's not aware of the case of Nancy's. Buenos días. Una preguntita. Somos de un canal de noticias en el otro lado. Estamos haciendo un reportaje acá en México preguntando sobre la desaparición de la señora. ¿Has escuchado algo de este caso?
No, la verdad
¿No has escuchado? Es la mamá de una conductora de una cadena de televisión que vive en Tucson.
So what did she say?
She haven't heard about the case, but she said that things like that can happen. That is a sad situation, and suddenly it's like we're so close to the border again that can happen.
But she heard nothing about it.
But she don't know nothing about the case at all.
Okay.
All right. They're probably not even running this case. We did hear earlier today that supposedly FBI or somebody contacted Mexico to help, but then someone contacted the Mexican authorities, and they said that FBI nobody has contacted them from the United States to help with the case or even ask anything about it. They have no idea about anything, but they said that they have not received any messages to assist or look for Nancy in New Mexico or whatever they're at, Mexico. And it's probably not even a concern there because it's a different country, folks. They don't watch American stuff there.
Todo ese tiempo. Somos de una cadena de noticias del otro lado, americana. El compañero no habla español, lo voy a ayudar a traducir. ¿Ha escuchado usted el caso de la señora Nancy Guthrie, que es mamá de una presentadora de noticias allá en Estados Unidos, que está desaparecida?
No,
¿No ha escuchado nada?
nada.
So what did she say?
She said that she's not aware of the case and that she does not know any other cases of people being brought here to Mexican side from the American side. Una de noticias del lado americano.
Now, you might run into a problem down there, Mr. Brian Etten, because much like when Pablo Escobar and everybody was running the cartels, and don't forget you're in Mexico now, which is a cartel country. You're going to be, no one is going to tell you anything about this case. Why? Well, they're afraid that they'll be seen on the news, you know, talking to you, giving information to you, and then you leave and everybody leaves, and then the cartels come in and say, "Oh, muchacho, señorita, is this you on the news, helping Americans look for people?" And then the next thing you know, they're dead and everything. So I don't know how good this is going to go. I don't know why these people are even doing this. I have no idea, but let's watch a little bit more of this so we can watch everybody say that they know nothing about this case in Mexico.
Y estamos trabajando. Hay una señora. You have the picture?
Yes, yeah, I have the picture.
Ahí está la mamá de una presentadora de noticias de la cadena. Ella es la mamá. Ella es la presentadora de la cadena de NBC. La mamá vive en Tucson y está desaparecida. Están pidiendo la ayuda. ¿Has escuchado de algún caso de gente que hayan traído de allá de Estados Unidos para acá? No has escuchado nada.
What did he say?
He said that he hasn't heard about the case just yet. He don't think it's possible. It's kind of hard to bring people to the Mexican side.
Why do they? He's the second one who said it was hard, but when we walked in, it was easy. What do they mean?
Es lo que sí es cierto. Regularmente cuando vienes en carro nunca te preguntan quién eres ni te piden documentos para cruzar a México. No.
Muy difícil, ya cuando te ve. Bueno, depende, ¿no? Depende cómo te ve el oficial que está a este lado. Si ve.
What is he saying?
He's explaining why it's hard for someone to bring, because it won't be easy for you to bring someone with the eyes cover or mask. And that will be a red alert for the officers that are there. They don't ask for any document, but they're watching who's coming.
Yeah, and maybe an older lady too.
Yeah. So if they see something suspicious, then they may stop you.
But if they had you in the car, in the trunk or
Si
something?
se la traen escondida en la cajuela.
Solamente se da, yo creo.
It can happen, but it will be hard.
It would be hard.
Yeah.
Porque de otra forma, pues.
Yeah, there won't be other way.
Yeah.
Maybe like that to put someone on the trunk, but if you bring someone sitting on the car, I mean, obviously, the most common thing will be for that person to ask for help.
Yeah.
So unless you're covered or something, but that will cut the authorities' attention.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay.
Sí, porque te digo, es muy difícil porque, aparte, hay cámaras. Si tú pasas de allá para acá, todo está, la cámara te está.
Okay, there's cameras on the bridge, so on the port of entry, so they can be checking the cameras also. So
Yeah.
that's what they say, that it's not easy. It's not only that they don't ask you who you are, but there's officers looking at people, and there's cameras all the way recording all the time.
So yeah.
Sí, porque si pidieron a las autoridades mexicanas, también puedes checar ahí al norte.
Yeah, that will be one of the tools maybe for them to check the Mexican cameras on the port of entry. Yeah. ¿Su nombre?
Julio Delgado.
Julio Delgado.
Yeah.
Muchas gracias.
So we've seen a ton of pharmacies since we came in. There's a big one here.
Yeah.
So you can get pretty much anything.
I mean, they still have controlled medicine or drugs, but like antibiotics or some other stuff that you can get without prescription in the States, you can get it here.
Okay.
It's easier.
Because the concern has been that Nancy Guthrie doesn't have her medicine, but if she was here, I think it's like heart medicine, she could probably get it.
Probably.
They could probably get it.
Probably
Okay,
get it.
let's go check it out.
Yep.
This is the Water Drop X.
All right, folks. They are going to go into this pharmacy that is right over the border of Mexico. Now, what they're going to see, what Brian Etten is going to do is he's going to go in there and he's going to ask for certain medication to see if they can get that medication over the counter, which they probably can, right? They're telling people if you got AIDS, go to Mexico because they got medication down there that can cure you. They're telling people to go there if you need pills and on Medicaid, Medicare, and you can't afford it. That, a lot of people go over the border just for pills, just for pills that you can get over the counter there that you got to jump through red tapes here to get. So I've seen a lot of people go down there and get the medication they need and come back to the United States. So let's see if Brian Etten can pull off, because in order for her to sustain life this long, these people would need a heart monitor. They also would need a way to charge the pacemaker, depending on which way it charges. There's numerous things these people would have to do, medication, all kinds of stuff to keep her alive. So let's see if Brian Etten can get the medication that she would need to survive in Mexico.
What did he say?
He said that you can find some medicines here without prescription, that you require prescription there. Talking specifically about the heart medicine, it all depends what substance is. It may be controlled here, it may not. So maybe you get good chances of getting whatever medicine you need here
with no prescription.
With no prescription. But also it depends on the substance. There are some substances that, yes, you need prescription, but also you can get a prescription from a local doctor, and then you come and you get it. So there's always a way around for it.
Has he heard of the case?
No, he has not heard of it.
He hadn't recognized the photo. Okay.
No. Can you go? If you want to.
He's a media reporter?
Yeah.
Yeah, reporter, yeah. I'm Brian, by the way.
Okay,
nice
Brian.
to meet you.
Yeah, nice to
You
meet
good,
you.
Mo? So have you heard of the Nancy Guthrie case?
Yes, we have, because Tucson, Arizona is like really close to the border of Nogales, and both communities are, we have families over there, and we're familiar with the case. Yes.
Has it been covered in the news here at all?
No, not much coverage, and but we are aware, and we have been following the news. The latest was that they think that maybe she was brought over to the Mexican side of the border, so that's where we are at.
Yeah, we were just talking to people, and no one seemed.
All right. So what I took of them going into that pharmacy is that there's a good chance they might be able to get heart medication to keep her alive, or if she was diabetic or whatever it may be. There's a good chance they would be able to get it, but that costs money. And now you're flipping the bill for everything, you're paying for it. And what does it become? Now a headache. Now, well, why is it a headache? Well, because the case has become so high profile, you can't even contact them without now being a good chance caught with digital evidence or a trail. This is very, very, very deep, very crazy. But yes, that's why people do go to Mexico to get their medicine. And there was the proof that pretty much they can get anything you need out there if you're dying of cancer or whatever, very easy. Their laws are different than America's, and their medicine is the same as we get, but it's cheaper. People go and buy it by the hundreds of, by the pounds of it or whatever. So this is very interesting because you have to, you can't just give her medication, right? You don't even know what her dosage is unless she tells these people, this is the medication I need, this dose. They would have to ask her, and they would, they would have to, I mean, unless they're that good and they were hacking her pharmacy and they already knew what medication she was on. Now, a lot of people are saying, come on, Johnny Kramer, you're going too far. Oh, am I really? Yeah, it's possible that they hacked her pharmacy and knew exactly what she needed to keep her alive. Yeah, it's possible, but I highly doubt it. It's become too big. They're going to have to sit on the package now for a while until it cools down and then maybe try and make some connection again. But as soon as there is, it'll blow up again, and then it's too hot. So did they make the wrong calls? Oh, yeah. Now, we forgive them, but nobody's perfect. Nothing's 100%.
To know about it here.
No, because we see the news from Tucson and we know about the case, but if we as media try to get information from the officers, the local police, I mean, they send us to the PIO, and it's really a lot of trouble. So what we do is maybe we get the info from different outlets, news coverage, but we don't get official statements from local police and even less from the FBI.
How easy would it be to bring someone in, like if you had kidnapped someone?
It's very simple. I mean, I don't know anything about kidnapping people in the United States and bringing them over, but if the local authorities aren't on alert searching for somebody, I mean, thousands of people come across the border walking and even on vehicles. It's not until they have the alert of somebody missing, they start looking at the camera footage and they can see if the person came across on foot or on a vehicle. They can see it, but they don't look for it until they know of
They
case.
request help, yeah.
Yes.
I wonder if they've started looking for this.
I wonder too.
Yeah.
But they won't tell anybody.
I'm kind of surprised it's not on the news more here.
I know.
Well, he's a reporter. He knows he lives there. He knows the circumstances and the repercussions of helping the Americans. Maybe, who knows? That might be right. But my question is to Mr. Enton and the rest of these people on this channel there is, if these people are so good in getting drugs across the lines in vehicles and trucks, semis, then what's to say they didn't throw her in a truck behind a bunch of cargo or whatever and drove right through? That's possible. Threw her in a trunk and drove into Mexico or whatever. It's possible. Maybe walked in. Maybe if somebody had a big enough backpack and threw it on their back and she was duct taped her mouth shut, immobilized or whatever, maybe drugged or something to to knock her out as they carry her over the border. Yeah, it's possible. Many things, but I don't know. I don't know about. No, this ain't. And people in Mexico don't even know about the case. They're not following the case. Some people know about it, some don't. Yeah, very, very, very weird.
Right. No. I don't know. Maybe it's because I told you that it's really hard for us to get official information from authorities.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for talking
Yes.
to us. Appreciate it. What's your name?
Omar?
Omar.
So tasty, it could make Poseidon switch to a spoon. Wholly divine taste. Odds.
All right, so I'm under attack today myself. Throat chakra or somebody that has throat problems trespassing on me and all kinds of crazy stuff going on around me. I hope I can make it out of this without having to open fire on public people or citizens and just go crazy like the rest of these people are. I don't know why I haven't gone back to drinking or snorting the devil's dust. I have no idea. All right, so we're going to end this video. I might be back with a peaceful fire video or something. I've had enough of the crime and the Nancy Guthrie case and everything for today. I want to thank everybody for watching. Thank everybody for subbing. You folks have a good night. God bless. And we'll be back.